Okay, welcome back to the second part of the final video. This is the part where we're going to start adding annotation, dimensions, tags, and we'll start looking at sheets and maybe some schedules. Before we move on though, if you notice we are missing our stairs, so we need to throw the stairs in before we can continue on. So that will be the first thing that we tackle. And to do that, I'll go ahead and bring back our CAD underlay. So that will be under Manage links. Okay, so looking at the CAD plan that we have here, it's showing that we need 11. Okay, there's 11 treads here. So with there being 11 treads to get to the top, which is at 10 feet, if you do the math, that comes out to numbers that aren't necessarily code, but it's an old residential house, so these stairs are going to be a little weird when you consider the sizes that we use. They are actually kind of steep, so when we start changing the numbers, we're going to need to create our own stair, custom stair slope for this. So we'll go ahead and go to the stair tool, and we're going to create. They already have one in here, so we'll just use this one. Create a duplicate and name it custom, and then hit OK. And after you do that, we need to go through our settings here, make sure that our settings are syncing up. So we want to make sure that we set the minimum tread depth to 9 inches is fine. The tread thickness should be 1 inch. Okay, that's the material that the tread's actually made out of. 1 inch is plenty for this case. And the nosing length is how much overhang there is. I'm sure you've all seen maybe carpeted stairs that has a little bit of an overhang from the riser. That's how you adjust this. So that goes into the overall calculation as well, because you have to consider that when doing your settings. And for the maximum riser height, I'm going to change this to 11 inches. And I'm not going to end with a riser, but I will begin with a riser. And the rest of this stuff we'll come back and look at that. So that should be enough to get us started. Okay, so for my steps here on the width, I'm going to change to 42 inches. And for the desired number 11, the tread depth, I did the calculations basically by just figuring out the overall slope and using similar triangles. That's, I mean, if you're interested, you can ask. No big deal. But it came out to having a let's see, tread depth of about 10 inches. Oh no, I'm sorry, the height, the riser was. How did I get? Let me make sure I've got this right here. Yeah, the riser was 10 inches. The tread depth is 10.5. Let's change that to 10.5. And it's automatically calculating the riser. So I'm going to actually go in and edit the type here. And I'm going to change this maximum height to 10 inches. See, the tread depth should be 10.5. And this should be 11. It's still giving us an error here. Alright, so go back in here to edit type, and I'll look at how it's calculating it here. So here it's saying that the slope is 2 times the rise plus 1. So that would be, it looks like 2 to 1, 2 plus 1, so that's I'm going to change this to 2.3. Okay, let's see what 13 gives us. It's telling us that 13 should work. So one thing that could be different here, the ceiling height could have been different previously. So let's just check out what this gives us here. And it clears the door, so that's correct. Yeah, it looks correct as far as the level goes. You know, one thing too that I checked before that I wanted it to end on a step. I actually think I want it to end on a riser. That will help us get rid of one of those extra risers as well. So I'll go back to my plan view here and edit the type of our custom stair, and I'll go ahead and end on a riser as well. So it's showing us that we have -1 remaining, which means we have 1 too many. Now it says 0 remaining, so that means we're good there. Okay, great. And we check this out now. We're ending on a riser, so the floor would actually be there, so that's a little more believable. If we go to an elevation on the side, we'll see that it ends up being just shy, but that ends up working out to our advantage, so that's okay. When we add a floor thickness, this will be okay. So it's good. Now, one thing that the stairs actually have here, they're showing a railing here on the side, and there's not actually a railing on this side. There's a railing on this side, but this is a wall, so the railing's unnecessary. So I'm just going to select delete on the keyboard and get rid of that. And you'll see there's only one railing now on that side. Now to cut through this wall, we're actually going to perform a modification on this wall on Edit Profile. And we need to choose a view that we can see what's going on. And I know that it basically just almost clears that door, if you remember. So that's my starting point for that sketch. So I will come in here on the inner side of the line. I know it's going to be difficult for you to see what's going on. It just takes some practice, I guess, to get used to drawing this way. And then I need to split the line that was originally there and trim. Oops, just gotta select the other side. I'm gonna hit tab until I see the line that I want to select and then select it. For whatever reason, it's not liking to trim that, so I'm just gonna move that over. Hit the check mark there. And you'll see that that has been notched out for the stairs. And I'm a little low there, but we'll come back to fix that. We'll fix that up here in a bit. One other thing that we need to add here is this stairway is actually not open underneath, obviously, or you would fall down the other steps. So we need to add a weird wall here. So I'm going to go to my plan view, select a wall, 5-inch wall will work. Down to here, and let's see this. I'm going to go ahead and align this onto the inside of this. Actually, you know what? This will work fine. This is fine. So if I go to a 3D view, we'll see that that comes up here. In reality, this wall is angled down with the stairs. So to get a better view of it, let's go ahead and make a section here, another working section. All right, good. And I'm going to call this one, remember caps, working, so that we know that it's a working section. It doesn't belong on the sheet. And this will be stair wall. Go ahead, double click on the triangle to take you to that view. So we've got a nice shot of this here. And I'm going to edit the profile of this wall. And I'm going to select a line that's actually on this wall so I can snap to that. And then for this one, I'll just extend it. That way it extends nice and parallel there. And for the rest of these guys, I'll trim this top line because I don't need the top of this wall anymore, right? So I can delete this like that, and I can trim that. That will give us a nice triangle wall in there. I go to a 3D view there. Notice that gets trimmed down. And the stairs rest on that. So you can see the wall actually sticks out some, and I wanted to add that to show you the idea of what we're doing with this wall. So now that we've got the wall actually trimmed where we want it, we'll go ahead and scoot it on in. So I'll go back to the floor plan here. And can do two things. I can make my stairway bigger, which I think I'll do mainly because if I bring this in, I'm going to be too close to this door here. I'd like to have at least a little bit of room here. Really, I would, in the real world, since this house is already constructed, we're just using the plans for this house. In the real world, I would probably have a lot more space here. Maybe at least, usually I leave 6 inches for casework and stuff like that. So we're going to go ahead and fudge this and make the stairway a little bit bigger. So we actually need to figure out how much bigger we need to make it. So I'm going to go to the modify, measure, save my project. And I think I'm going to have a problem with that because it's an angled wall, so it's not going to want to measure to that point. So we will just go ahead and guess that that's a 5-inch wall, so we'll go ahead and make this 3 foot, let's see, we're going to make this 3 foot 8.5. Okay, notice it grows on both sides, so we need to realign this side over here. If we would have locked this to that wall, that wouldn't be the case, and I think I'll probably do that this time in case we need to move it again. So I'll lock that to this wall, and that actually worked out. We got it perfect there. So if we go to a 3D view now, you'll notice that that stairway now is, the wall is completely under it there. So we've closed that in nice with that wall. And we actually need to edit this profile one more time. It looks like, so I'll go to a north elevation view. Try and figure out where I am here. Okay, there's the view we created, so I need to modify this over to the other side of the handrail. Lines cannot intersect each other. Okay, that just means that this line here and this line, there can't be an overhang like that. It needs to be closed, so I'm just going to drag this over. And if I go to a 3D view, it's like we're still hanging out here. Oh, go south view here, and we'll try that again. So I'm in my south elevation here. I'm gonna move this over. For whatever reason, it doesn't look like it really wants to make that cut. That's better, but it needs to be up against the edge of this, so go do it again, I guess. So go to the south elevation and do edit profile and move that so that it's up against that handrail. And it bumped it over there again. Huh. Interesting. For whatever reason, not quite sure, is not liking that. So what we'll do is we'll just move it extremely close. I think once it snaps to that grid, or as soon as it snaps to that handrail, we have problems. For some reason, I'm not sure why. So we've got a little gap there we could come back and fix. It's just a little tiny gap. And that little tiny gap is actually going to bug me, so we need to fix that. maybe I'll try using my align tool this time, and instead of snapping to the railing, I'll tab here until I have the stair, and then align it to the actual stair. It knows what I'm trying to do. Okay, well, instead of going the profile, I guess we could try and, for this wall, do an opening. So I'm going to reset the profile here. That'll take it back to its normal state. And I'm going to come up here to, let's see, home, opening in a wall. Select my wall. Okay, got that started, so I'm going to go to back to the south view. Select this opening and move these bars. It would appear that we must be pinching something somewhere, because it would appear that even the opening doesn't want to snap to the opening tool, and usually the opening tool is a pretty good backup. But you'll notice if you try and drag it, I'm going to try and use the align tool. There we go. That might have worked that time. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so the opening tool ended up coming through for us, so it's a good backup tool to use. And again, that's under the Home tab, and you can do wall openings here. It's almost like changing the profile of a wall. It's kind of similar. Okay, so stairs, I'm telling you, stairs are tough in Revit. They're always a pain for anybody. Okay, but we're ready to move on here. And I can hide this now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off this CAD layer again, or link, X reference. Now we're ready to start creating some rooms. So usually when you number your rooms in a drawing, it's good to start your numbering like at the entrance and work your way around either clockwise or counterclockwise. You don't really want to jump this. You don't really want this to be room 1, this to be room 2, 3, 4. You don't want to do that. You kind of just want to work your way around. So I'm going to go to home and see this room tag here. And you'll notice when I hover from rooms, it automatically detects the room boundary. Now, one thing to note is this is the foyer here, but this is a hallway here. I want that to be separated. But I don't want there to be really any visible separation. So we can get by with that by hitting the arrow and going to room separation line. And I can draw a line right here to separate the rooms. And I don't have to have that line visible. I can hide that in view. And this should still work So you'll notice now this room's confined just to this area, and this is now a hallway. So you can separate areas with the room separation line. So I'll just start here and work my way around. And you'll notice Revit's really good about keeping the numbers in line for you. Okay. So like I said, Revit automatically counts the rooms for you, which is huge. If you remember, like in AutoCAD, that is a pain because you have all these different symbols that you have to automatically change rooms. They don't update. So this is a huge step. One thing we'll note that we're working on a residential project here. So residential projects usually end up in 1/4 inch scale. If you notice, we've been drawing in 1/8 inch scale. So these things look huge right now. And our line, even our hidden lines, look really big, the dashes in between. So we need to go ahead and change this now to 1/4 inch scale, and you can change your drawing scale here. So now you'll notice the room tags are really small, and my hidden lines have more dashes. So we basically scale down the drawing even more. So residential, usually since it's such a small project, it'll fit at 1/4 inch on other sheets. And if it's a commercial project, you'll usually draw 1/8 inch or so. So you notice that the 1/4 inch automatically also scales these down for you as well. So huge time saver there. So I'll just go around and start clicking on the name and giving everything a name. Remember, everything should be in caps here. And I need one for my closet here. Overlapping lines are no good, so don't be afraid to use leaders. So what we'll do is select this and move it out to here. And I need to turn on leader here. Check leader there. You know what? Actually, I'm not huge on having this thing sticking out here for now, for this purpose. So we're just going to ignore that room for now. So you can click on that. It's just going to get in the way, so we're not going to worry about that now. We've got plenty to work with here. Alright, that's good. So from here, I'm going to actually go ahead and call this my furniture plan. So I'm going to rename this level. Actually, I'm going to leave this as my level 1, and I'm going to duplicate this view with detailing. And I'm going to rename this furniture plan. And I'm going to leave the original here just in case. It's good to have a little backup plan there. I'm going to duplicate this one with detailing, and I'll name this one construction plan. Alright, so we're going to work in the construction plan primarily. Now, in a construction plan you have different room tags. In a construction plan you never really have the name of the room. The only time that the name of the room shows up with a tag is in a furniture plan. When you have a furniture plan, you can show that room name and the number, but I was always instructed to remove the name in any other drawing. So for these rooms remaining, that we only want to include the room tag. So if you'll notice under room tag, it doesn't really have the option for just number. There's the option to not just show that. So basically, we need to create our own family because there's not a family type that will allow us to do that. So in this case, we're actually going to have to create a family from this family. So what I'm going to do is go to Edit Family. Okay, this is the tag family. And right away, I am going to go to File and Save As so I don't mess up the original one. Room tag. And then this will be for construction. Or we'll just do room tag number only. How about that? And I'm not going to save this under plumbing fixtures. I'm going to save this wherever my project annotations, wherever everything else is. Now, if you're on a computer like a public computer, you might want to save this somewhere else. If you're afraid that it will be either you can't save in that folder or it will be deleted, you could save this with your project in the same folder. But since I want to be able to use it again, I'm going to actually save it under architectural here. And like I said, I don't want the room name, so I'm just going to select that and delete that. And then I'm going to hit save. And then I'm going to hit load into project. Okay, so now that I've done that, I want to make sure I go to my construction plan here. And notice that I still have my furnished plan. The names, everything are still intact. So we successfully duplicated that family. And I'm going to come here and delete the tags that we placed in the construction. I'm not deleting notice the rooms are still there. I'm just deleting the tags. Go to annotate. Actually, we should be able to go to room for this one. Tag. And I want to make sure that I have that newly created tag. And you'll notice as I change my rooms here, Revit still kept the room number. So even though I deleted the tags, I kept my rooms, and the room numbers are still consistent with how they were before. I just need to drop them in here, and it could be in any order, and my numbers will still be in order. How I tagged it before, so you don't have to worry about losing that. And then once you're done with that, you can just hit escape. So now we just have our room tags with no numbers. So this is obviously done so that it's on construction plans, because not only do you have a bunch of dimensions and stuff and notes and everything going on, the last thing you need is the name of the room when it's not necessary. If you want the name of the room, you can refer to the floor plan or the furniture plan. In the construction plan, you just need a room number so that you can reference your schedules as to what room you're talking about. So you can correspond everything now to a room number. All right, I'm going to save this. The next thing we need to add on our construction plan is we need to start thinking about dimensions. Now, I'm not going to hit every dimension necessary here because that would take a while. basically you want to keep your dimensions nice and clean, dimension to the center of everything, and use minimal dimensions. So I'll go to annotate, and I'll use this as my dimension, no secret. So we're going to use the same dimensions we've been using this time. We're just not going to delete them when we're done using them. And we can make these neater as we go along. I just want to get them out here for now. Okay, so I'll come over here now and just kind of clean these up. There's a million different ways that you can dimension things. I'm kind of just going at the way that makes the most sense. Usually, like I said, you dimension to the center of everything, and we'll rely on our window tag to tell us exactly what's going on. And I guess they would probably want to know how big the overall dimension is. Okay, that covers the outside dimensions. You know, really, for being interior designers, we don't really need to worry about that so much. We're really more concerned about the interior walls, but just to throw those in there. I'll throw a few dimensions here on the inside as well. So that Whoops, I hit it. I'm good at hitting the escape key before I click the final click there. So if I'm okay there, I can click it, right click there. Nope, it's not letting me get out of this command. Come on, let me go. Well, this is a first. I've never not been able to get out of a dimension command. There we go. Oh man, could they make that any harder? You just need to click on the white there. If you didn't figure that out before, I struggled with it. I'm going to move this guy because I want to put a oopsie. Delete this. That's what I was trying to do. I think that's enough to build that area. It should be okay. They're going to know the size of the door, and they're going to know, I guess they should probably need to know the size of that opening. When I say they, I mean the contractors. Again, you want to just keep the dimensions nice and neat, nice and simple. Dimension to the center of things. I'm not going to really go on too much further with this. You know, if you have two dimensions in two different rooms and you can do it, it's good to go ahead and align those together so it's nice and neat. Alright, well, that looks pretty good for now. Obviously, I would still need to add some dimensions, but I think you get the point. Now, if there was any kind of notes that we needed to add, we could obviously add notes as well. Usually, try to find a good place for a note here. Like here, it's a good place. I could do text and click there and type a line. And I would want this text to be the same as the other text, 330 seconds. The text is really big. Change that to 330 seconds. And if you want to add a note, like I said, you basically just select your box here, and these are your leader tools. So if you want to add leaders, you can do that by just clicking these two boxes, and that will give you leaders, and you can adjust these however you want. Not sure why leaders never really snap, but you can adjust this however, whatever makes sense. So I don't like that arrowhead at all. I don't know about you, but if you like it, you can keep it. I'm going to actually override my system here and not even do a duplicate. If you want to do a duplicate, and if you want to keep that arrow, that's fine. But I would never use that arrowhead, so I like mine to be filled in. So I'm going to change my arrowhead of my leaders to that. I like the filled in arrowheads better. So that just says to align, to make sure these walls are aligned so that that's flush across there, saying that's the straight wall across. So if you wanted to add notes and such, you do it with the text tool, and then you just turn on leaders as you need them. Pretty cool little tool there. Oh, and the construction plan, we have to add tags to everything, right? But luckily, we saved those. Remember, we actually we chose to hide all of the actual tags, so we just saved ourselves a ton of work because all we need to do is select the reveal option, and I'm going to drag a box across everything. And I don't want the section markers, I just want my tags. This is your filter tool down here. So if you select that, and I hit check none here, that's going to deselect everything. Now if I just want the tags, the window tags and the door tags, and then hit OK, that's just going to select the window tags and the door tags. And after I do that, I can right click and unhide and view that category. You notice they're no longer magenta, so that means that they've been unhidden. And then I can turn this back off, and our tags are back. Just that easy. But we need to, make them a little neater by moving them a little bit closer to the windows and making sure they're not overlapping with anything else. But that saves us a lot of time as far as placing these guys. It's one of the things I love the most about Revit is, this stuff drops back in automatically. I don't have to worry about creating any crazy blocks with attributes or anything like that. The families are already there. In fact, that's probably the the favorite thing about having Revit. Try and be consistent. There's no, not really following any format here. I'm just making sure that if I have window tags, I keep them close to the window and all outside or all inside. I'm putting all mine outside because I see the windows as being more of an architectural item. And the architectural items usually stick to the outside here. And the door tags all look okay. I might move this one so it's not as confusing with that center mark there. Looks good. Everything else looks good there. So that was fast with the tags. We just pretty much basically just drop those in there. Awesome. Alright, so we've done a lot here in a short amount of time as far as filling this thing in. Now we've been doing all this work on a construction plan. Now let's jump back to our furniture plan. And notice everything's just how we left the furniture plan. Okay, so everything that we've done is view specific. So our furniture plan is no dimensions. It still has the old tags. There's no door and window tags or anything like that. So it's still in perfect condition. If I go back to the construction plan, we have our construction plan here. So go ahead and mess around with this and catch up, and we'll see you back here in a second. Okay, so let's keep moving here. We're on the home stretch, so a few more things to talk about. Now that we've created this construction plan, we need to talk about putting it on a sheet, getting it ready for print. So to create new sheets is very simple. Unlike AutoCAD, we don't have to go through page setup and all that stuff. So it's another cool feature about Revit. So I'll go to View, and you'll notice here there's a Sheet button. And this is the only sheet that's loaded right now. We're actually going to load a different sheet. The title blocks here. ArcD is what we want. No, this is actually not ArcD, that's ANSI D. That's fine, we'll use this here. Oh, this is actually the size of the title block. This isn't the size of the paper. So there's our sheet. Notice that the title block is a family. So I can edit this to be whatever custom title block I want. We're going to just keep it as this Autodesk family, but we can open it up to look at it here. So I can edit anything in here. Individual lines. I could add my own image here. I could add, it's endless of what you could do with this. It's a family, so treat it like you would anything else. We're going to leave it with the Autodesk things for now. We'll just leave it how it is. Okay, so to add a view to a sheet, it's as simple as dragging it from the box. Okay, so you'll notice my view here is really big and my exterior elevation markers are really spread out. So I'm just going to place this here. You always want to place your drawings to the right. And that's because you're usually going to have a lot of drawings and you're going to bind it on the left. So you don't want to put your drawing over here or in the center where it's going to get caught in the binding, especially if you have notes. So you work from right to left. It doesn't really matter whether you work from top to bottom. Usually if you just have one drawing, it's good just to put it in the center. But you're going to want to keep this thing far to the right. And I need to move my elevation markers in, so I'm going to go back to my construction plan. And I'm going to select these guys and move those in closer. So these are my exterior elevation markers. And I want those to be on a construction plan. Elevation markers and all that stuff, sections go on here. And I'm not sure because I've never tried it before, but I imagine we can align these to each other somehow. No, doesn't look like we can, so we kind of just have to eyeball that. I don't know if it will snap necessarily to anything. No. So we're kind of just eyeballing this, which is fine. I'm just really particular about making sure things are nice and in line as much as I can. So it looks good, I guess. So we'll go to the sheet. The sheet, once we create it, is located over here. And this is our first sheet here. Now you'll notice the elevation markers, the drawing got smaller. My border for it, so my elevation markers are closer. The title of the drawing is actually still down here, so we'll move that up. Alright, and this line is really long, and you would think that you would select this line to make it smaller, but actually you select the drawing. And once you select the drawing, then it gives you the little dot to make it smaller. So you have to select the drawing to activate this line, and this line is supposed to be the length of the text here. Just like that. Should probably be below the elevation marker. I know it looks kind of funny out there like that, but it should include everything in your drawing. It should, meaning this shouldn't be up here as in part of your drawing. This should be the title including your drawing. And technically it should be over here including this, but that's really kind of far out there. So we'll leave it there. Maybe move it up just a little bit. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so you can see the scale's already added according to whatever scale we were drawing in. I can also select the drawing and I can change the view scale here if I wanted to change it to whatever 1/8 inch. If I change this, you'll notice that the drawing gets much, much smaller on the sheet. The scale also changes here. But like I said before, this is residential, so we want that to be 1/4 inch. All right. Now a couple things down here, project name and owner, all that stuff. As I mentioned before, I can go up here to manage and do project information. And I can add some of the stuff in here if I want to. Like if this was the client, we could say, I don't know, I'm looking at a post-it ink. I could add the address for the project if I wanted to. Project name. Post-it factory. Project number if you this had a project number. Okay, once I do that, it's going to update in the title block. I could also select these things directly. I could put by the author, I could put my initials in here, whoever it was checked by. This is a timestamp. That's fine, I'm not too concerned about that. This is the drawing number. That's fine. You know, this is actually going to be considered an interior drawing, so this should be an I for interior. and my view here is construction. Okay, so that's the gist of that. If you're going to add consultant information, you could add that stuff in here with pretty easy. But other than that, I mean, that's it. That's the completed sheet. So that's one sheet down. Now, I guess I just lied to you. The sheet's not completed because we haven't really added any legends. Now we know that we have doors and window tags already, so let's go ahead and start with those since it's the easiest. And we'll see what kind of time we have from there. So, let's see. We go to home. No, I'm not supposed to go to home. Let me think here for a second. View and schedules. And let's say we want to create a door schedule. So we select door. Okay, now what all do we want to include in our schedule is asking us what that is here. Assembly code, no, not necessarily. Comments, yes. Count, absolutely. Description, yes. Finish. Frame material. Frame type. Head height. So you can move these up here in the order that you want them to show up in the schedule. That looks good for now. Then I'll hit OK. And it'll automatically give me this table of all my doors that I have and how many of them that I have with the width and the heights and the head heights. All right, so and I can format it even further here. If I wanted to sort by level first, and then I want to sort by, you know what else this table actually needs is room numbers. Did I already put that on there? I have room on there. I thought I had room on there. It's like room's not even an option here. You should technically have room numbers. I'm going to add a parameter and call this room. Okay, so so it's giving me my room section here. I should be able to set this up to accept the room name automatically, the room number that it's in. Give me 1 second here. Okay, I may have to get back to you on linking that together. It's been a while since I've had to go that far. Let's see, let me try one more thing here. Well, let me go ahead and go ahead and continue with this how it is, and I'll research that here after the next break, and we'll come back to that. I apologize about that. It's just it's been a while since I've had to add a parameter that's missing. Room should be an option automatically, so it's unfortunate. Okay, so we've got basically the things that we want. We didn't set any of this stuff up yet. We didn't select finishes for the doors or anything. But you can see if we took the time to do that, that would come in here nice automatically. So once we've got that done, we've created a view basically here, so we could just jump back to another view. If I go back to my sheet now, we'll see that I also above sheets has schedules and quantities here, and our door schedule is dropped in there. And the same deal, you just drag it out here and place it. So I'll place that up here, and I'll move this down. So there's our door schedule automatically created for us. The next one to add, I guess we'll go ahead and add another one here, window legend maybe. Whoops, not a legend, schedule. Same kind of stuff here. Count, comments, description, head height, level, width, and type. And of course, I get all of them. Height, yeah. Okay, and okay, so level should be first. Room type, count, think we want to keep that itemized on. I want to sort by level, then type. That'll work. Don't need grand tables. Some other things here. This just has to do with the appearance. If there's anything in here that we want to change, not necessarily now. I think it's all fine. So we calculate totals here. Okay, so I think we've pretty much been through everything that there is in here. So there's a new schedule, so I can go to my sheet and drag this window schedule out here. Now I have my two schedules. Now I could add as many schedules as I would want here, or as many views as I want, obviously. Alright, so that sheet's completed. Now, let's go back to our furniture plan here. And I'm going to duplicate this. Actually, I'm going to delete that. When I go to my ceiling plane here on the first level and look at this, okay, so this by default Revit gives you your reflected ceiling plans here, the views automatically, so you don't need to create a reflected ceiling plan up here. The ceiling plans are already given to you here, and you can notice now I'm looking at the ceiling and there's all kinds of things wrong here. I'm going to change the scale to a 1/4 inch first of all. You'll notice we're missing all of our doors and windows. Okay, all that stuff's missing, and that has to do with the cut plane. Now, I think we've talked about this before in the video where we created ceilings, how we had to adjust the cut plane. If you remember back to it was like the second video or something. So we need to do that now. So I'm going to change my view range to something below 7 feet. So it's going to be like 68 inches or 78 inches. That'll bring everything back. Also remember, in this view, we don't want any door swings, so I also need to edit in my graphics here. I need to change my doors. And I don't want the swing on, I don't want the panel. I want the opening. I don't want glass frames or mullion. There we go. So everything's back to normal there. I'm just going to drop a couple ceilings in here, kind of as a reminder. So I select ceiling, and I can just select the room that I'm interested in. and drop that grid in there. I don't really like grids, so I'm going to change this ceiling. That's a room. Hit tab until I get ceiling there. Here we go. And I'm going to change this to gypsum wallboard. And if you also remember, that's not going to show up, so I need to manage my materials and turn on my surface pattern for that. Okay, so let's see, gypsum wallboard. Notice the surface pattern is turned off there. Change this to sand. Hit OK there. And now my sand pattern's back. I'm going to save this. Revit seems to be acting kind of slow or funny right now. So go back to ceiling. I'm going to change this right. So I'm not getting automatic in here because I have all those. Remember, I changed the wall profile between these two rooms and over here, so I'm getting a little no ceiling here. So I'm just going to keep clicking these other rooms for now. My ceiling offset from level is at 8 feet automatically. I could change that if I wanted to, but 8 feet is exactly where I want it. So if automatic doesn't work, you can sketch a ceiling by changing the options up here. I'm going to lock this in case my walls move for any reason. And I need a ceiling here as well. So this one's not going to be as simple as a rectangle. I'll have to sketch this one out with lines. Okay, what I didn't show you last time, and the reason that I wanted to add this is adding lights. So I wanted to definitely show you how to add some lights in here. So that's going to be under component, load components, and under lighting fixtures here. And I'm just going to add some cans for the main lighting, make it easy. All kinds of different lights. Now notice in the image there is a little yellow, what looks like, see if I can get a better. Notice this yellow cone here, and every one of these has a yellow object. That means that there's an actual light inside of this. So when it comes to creating renderings, these are actually producing light. They're not just the light fixture itself. So there's actually light bulbs in these lights, basically. So you need to pay attention to that, especially when we start talking about 3D Studio Max. We're not going to want necessarily extra lights. So be aware if you bring these into 3D Studio Max that these lights are coming with it. So you'll need to turn those off when they come in. Recess can for now. And you have to be in the ceiling plane to do this. And notice I can just come out here and click. It's a 6. Do we have any 8-inch can in here? Nope, just 6-inch. No, there's 8-inch. 8-inch, 120 volts. And I'll just come in and drop these in here for now. So on your reflected ceiling plans, you would actually have your dimensions in here. Just make this even 4 from that wall, and an even 4 from this wall. And then I'll use my align tool for the other lights. So I can align this one. Notice that there's imaginary vertical lines there that will allow me to align those together, and horizontal. Good. And these guys need to be 4 feet, I guess, too. No, I mean, I'm just making that number up. I'm not using any calculations or anything. I'm just eyeballing it, basically. Okay, so there's the light. So you can dimension the lights as well, and usually you would, in your reflected ceiling plans, you would have dimensions. So you would have, these dimensions would actually, wouldn't be from the center line, they'd probably be from the face of the wall. Okay. Could probably go ahead and throw a center line in here to show that these are all, aligned with a detail line. Change it to center line here. That way you only need those 2 dimensions. Everything else is based off of these center lines here. Alright. So that would be typical in a room. You would dimension it from, I would need 1 more dimension here. Need 2 more dimensions, sorry. Oh, I jumped to a linear dimension there. You should have stopped me. Just kidding. Use the align dimension tool, that way everything snaps. I couldn't figure out why it wasn't snapping. It's kind of freaking me out. Oops, that's repetitive, I don't need that. So let's see, they need to know a dimension from this wall over here, or this wall over here, but since I have 2 dimensions there, this is an exterior wall, so that would actually be kind of good. So I could measure to this exterior face here, like that. So now they know where to place those lights. So that's typical for every room. You would want to do that for every light that you had. You would dimension it for your reflected ceiling plan. So that's pretty typical here. So we'll rename this. I'm going to duplicate it with detailing first. And we'll name this reflected Alright, so go ahead and mess around with that. And we'll come back and finish things up. Okay, there's one more plan that you're going to run into when you get to construction documents, and that's the finished plan. You also have electrical and data plans, but we're not going to cover that in Revit. By the time that we finish these 3 plans, you should pretty much have a good grasp on what it is that you need to do. Everything's based off of families, and if you don't have symbols and so forth. So let's look at a finished plan, and then we'll look at plotting it real fast, and then that's it. We'll call it a day for the Revit. So I'm going to duplicate my furniture plan, so I really don't want to start with my construction plan because I don't want to have all this stuff, right? So I just need to start with the finished plan. So I'll duplicate, or start with the furniture plan. So I'll duplicate that. This will be finished plan. Okay, just like the construction plan, finished plan should only have room numbers. Tag. So shortcut, I'm going to select everything. This might work, this might not work. We'll check it out and see. Select my filter, check none. I want room tags. So I've got my room tags selected. I'm going to change my room tags all together at once with my custom room tag. Custom room tag down here, room tag number only. That will switch those all so I don't have to go around and do it. So now that I've done that, I'm ready to keep moving here. Basically, for the finished plan, you're showing floor finishes and special, wall paints and stuff like that. So we need to add floors. We added our ceilings, now we need to add floors. Generic 12-inch. Do a wood truss carpet finish here. Actually, yeah, the floor should, when you draw your floors, the center line of your floor should be in the center line of the wall. So your rectangle should be like that. Your floors should meet in the center of your door openings. So those should be locked kind of there. Check that. And that'll drop a floor finish in there. Floors finish looks similar to the reflected ceiling plan. In the kitchen, we would have some sort of tile. This is actually hardwood floor in here. So if I select my floor again, should be here, or get it in the opening. Hit my tab. I don't think hardwood floor, wood finish. There we go. So there's my wood finish. I don't really like showing that much finish. That's up to you. That's considered overkill, in my opinion. Especially if you're going to have a tag in that room. So what we might do is we'll go back to that mask, the idea of using the mask, and because we want to keep the whole floor, but we don't necessarily want to see the whole floor, if you know what I mean. So annotate. And you can do a masking region here. And, maybe make it look nice so it's not just a rectangle or something. Maybe we could give it an arc from the corner to the corner. See what that does. Send that backwards. Actually, I need to bring it forward above the floor. There we go. So we've got an idea of, with using that mask, now we have an idea of what the floor is supposed to look like, but it's not necessarily showing up. So you can use your judgment on whether you want to show the whole floor or not. That's not something for me to decide for you. One thing I want to try and do, though, is not have a boundary. Invisible lines here. I don't really want to see those either. So if I draw those with invisible lines, they should appear hidden. That's nice. So that works out to our advantage there. So in here I'll do something similar, but I'll do a tile floor. You have to be careful here. The floor, technically, the finish might not be included underneath the cabinetry necessarily, depending on how custom it is. I doubt that it's going to sit on top of the tile in most cases. But if it does, you still need to draw the floor so that it goes all the way under. Otherwise, the cabinets would fall down into the basement. It's not good for business. Okay, we're missing our floor tile here. So remember, anytime you want a surface pattern and it's not showing up, you edit that, edit your materials. So you go to Manage Materials, Tile, Surface Pattern, and maybe do a 12-inch tile here, and hit Apply. And same deal here. I don't really want to show all of this tile in this entire kitchen. It's just too much for me to comprehend. It gets really confusing. So, especially when you're going to do a floor plan that's rendered, this turns out to be nice when you use lines like this. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Masking region, and I'll select an arc, and I'll go from this corner, maybe this corner this time. Okay, and before I go any further, I'm going to change that to invisible line. And I'm going to change this to invisible line so that I draw with those this time instead of repeating more work for myself. And that needs to go the other way. I accidentally drew that this way, didn't I? That line needs to be deleted. And I need to go this way with it this time. It also needs to make sure that you go down into the actual door itself. It's still connected. Okay, good. On both of these, I need to send this backwards. Actually, that's going to be a problem, isn't it? It's not so much affecting... Yeah, it is affecting that. Okay, so on this mask region here, send that to backs. Try to. Sometimes it bothers me that sometimes the walls are showing up and sometimes it's not. But it can't be a good sign. So what I'm going to do is bring this off of this wall just a little bit. And then over here, do that. See if that fixes that problem. Well, it fixed the wall problem, but it didn't fix the door problem, because now we have two problems. So, imagine by sending that to the back that it would avoid that door, but it doesn't look like that's the case. I guess that'll work. It's a little sloppy, but price you pay, I guess. This is going to have to be left a little short of that wall, or it's going to consume the wall. And I'm not sure why it's still... Was that the... I accidentally changed the wall there. Yeah, that was my fear with that. That's no good. We might have to scrap this idea of the boundary line for these. It's consuming the walls, even though it should be below the walls. Instead of doing an invisible line on this one, we could do a medium line to match the other lines. Get a little bit of a... Be interested to see how that actually prints out. I wouldn't be able to repeat that. Okay, so for this, we're going to just scrap this idea because you can see we're having some problems here with getting the walls to agree with that. So I'm going to delete that. Another option would be to create your floors and do a filled region, meaning that if I turn my material off again for this, if I go to Manage Materials and Wood Finish, Wood Flooring, turn my surface pattern off for this, and then come in here and do a... This is a... I'm not too happy with having to do it this way, but I guess this could work. We'll take a look at it and see. So instead of a masking region, I'm going to do a filled region. Same story here. And I want to fill it with wood. It's a different wood that I was thinking of. Horizontal lines. There we go. So we've achieved the same effect there. Still having some issues. As far as covering up lines go. So either way that you do it, it's not necessarily going to work out in your advantage, unfortunately. I'm trying to think if there was another way to do it. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. So if you want to use this method, you'll have to kind of use it at your own risk. I guess you could offset this from the wall. There's always an option as well. That way you at least keep your wall lines. You know, that's your call, whatever you want to do, but the masking region is going to overwrite anything. The send to back doesn't work like it's supposed to. I don't know exactly what it means by send to back, what it's referring to as back, but there's plenty of stuff still behind it. So I'm just not sure about how Revit or Autodesk has taken this tool in this direction. So up to you. For now, we're going to ignore it just because it's become more of a pain than it's meant to be. So we'll go ahead and keep the large finish in there for now. Sorry for the little detour. And I'm going to go back and manage that material. What was that flooring? One thing I definitely would like to do here, well, no, it's okay. I want to see if it messes with this family. Give me 1 second, I apologize. I just want to see if the mask, I know for a fact that the mask used to work in this this area, because I don't need a background behind this tag here. Yeah, so it still works in that. So that way at least I can still read the tag and there's not stuff going through it, so I can use a masking region there. And we'll probably make sure that this is a little cleaner. That way I can, you know, that way the lines aren't going through the tags here. That's my main concern. So at least the masking region still works in that area. I would use my align tool, but I didn't think that would work. Some stuff going it. Okay, so that's how you can get by with using mask regions so that your tags are more legible there. So to move on, we need to add some tags here. I'm going to tag by category. And now I can just select the floor, and it's going to say that the floor tags haven't been loaded, so we need to load it. So I'll say yes. Go to annotations. Again, if it's not in this first list here, you'll find it in architectural floor tag. And that'll place a tag here. I'd probably move this in here. And I'd turn off my leader line. Or I'd actually leave on your leader line. Technically, the way you're supposed to do this is go to one of the entryways. And this is something you should pick up in construction documents probably. And I need to unlock my leader. Free end here. And I would point this to the area there. And it needs to have a, it doesn't actually, no, it doesn't need an arrowhead, that's fine. We can leave the arrowhead off. Okay. Again, this is a reason why I really don't like the wood floor behind here. I'm going to need to create a masking region so I can just make this more legible. Okay, so you're going to want to delete that stuff behind it so you can actually read this. And then you would come in over here and do the same thing. Make sure you select floor. We got a couple of them here. Seems like my computer is struggling for some reason. It's just as tired as I am, I think. So we'll move this guy down to match here. To allow this to move, we need to free this end. And we'll line those up with each other. But that is not the right floor. So I don't know what happened there. Let's try that again. There we go. So they should line up in that fashion for the most part, and that should be consistent. Anytime you have a floor transition, you kind of just label it like that. I'm actually going to make all of that go away. And I'll do the same thing for this one. Well, I'm not going to be able to do that, am I? Because that's going to overwrite all of those lines. Bummer. Okay. So I would do that. I wouldn't need to repeat that here. I would only need a tag on this side. If it's the same floor type, obviously one note's fine. I can leave that how it is, and I would come to each floor transition and add one of those. And that would be really the extent of the finish plan. You would add a legend to the sheet. So since we have a reflected ceiling plane here, let's just add one more sheet. And I'll drag my reflected ceiling plane out here. Alright, so that would be our reflected ceiling plane. We would come down here. Reflected ceiling plan. This is I-102. Fine. The order of these you'll learn about the order of your drawing numbers and construction documents. I'm not going to put that on you now. So that's another sheet created. So after we get through creating all of our sheets and we're ready to print, it's quite simple. Go up to the little drop down here and go to print. I always recommend that you always print a PDF before a printer. That way you have a receipt of everything that you print. So everything that we print in my class will be straight to a PDF first. I need to go to settings down here to set up. letter is going to be ArcD. We want to center the plot. We want to fit, we don't want it to fit the page. We want it to zoom 100% of size. We want it to be full size. We don't want the scale to be distorted. We want that to be high, that's fine. Colors, if you wanted to print in color, whatever, usually you print in grayscale. And then save this as my print or whatever, so I don't have to do it every time. And then OK, go to preview here, and you'll see the sheet is not centered like it's supposed to be there, so we need to make some adjustments there. So I'll go back to print. Set up center. Somehow that got distorted, and I'll save that again. Preview, and now we're centered and ready to go on that sheet. So I can hit the print dialog back here, and it'll take me back. Now, if I had a bunch of sheets, like in AutoCAD, you could do a publish. If you have a bunch of sheets, you could do selected views and sheets and select as many sheets as you want. So if I don't want views, I just want the sheets, I can select these two and hit OK. Yes, that's fine. No. So I'm not going to be able to preview that now, but I've already set up with my JSON settings here, so I should be good to go. So I'll just hit OK. You could create separate sheet files, that's fine, we'll do that. Actually, this is the one. Another good thing about printing, if you print it to full size like that, or half size like with the ArcD every time, a good thing about this is now I can print this to pretty much any paper that I want to. See, I have the full print here. If I go to the page properties here, 24 by 36 is the page, so that printed to full size. So I didn't lose my scale. I could print this on a plotter or whatever, and it would be to scale. So it's good to print to 24 by 36 every time, and then just use that for whatever purpose that you need. That way that it's full scale. And there's the construction plan printed there. Oh, it looks like the floors got added there. I need to turn those off in that view. So when I added the floors, they jumped into that plan because I added floors. So I could, in this view, I can find it there, hide in view, and then just do category so all the floors stay hidden. Okay, so I hope these have been helpful. It's been a lot of information, I hope, especially this last two videos, so take your time through these. You have a couple weeks to go through this stuff. Next week we'll hang out in class and just work on this for the time that you're there. And from here, I'll think about it. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to do any more Revit videos, so we'll have a week break, and then we'll start with the 3D Studio Max for creating the rendering. So again, I hope this will help, and I'll see you next week.